my 1111 YouTube friends? I got something really cool I want to show you guys today. A couple years ago, Trent and I bought a whole pile of Polaris parts from a closed down dealership. A whole bunch of different stuff, tracks and seat covers and skis and God, just hoods and windshields, piles of stuff. And one of them was a body cover, a cover that completely covers the whole snowmobile, travel cover. And when I got it, I'm looking at the tag and I'm like, okay, that's what it fits. There's no reason I'm ever gonna have one of these sleds. There's no reason I would ever have to keep this near brand new condition cover. No way. I put it up for sale. Immediately, within minutes, I had a guy contact me. Name's Lee. And he contacted me and he's like, I've been looking for 2 years for one of those covers. I'll take it. I want it right now. Take my word, I'll take it. And I didn't know him, and you know, a lot of people come across like that, say I'll just take it. I'm like, well, if you could send me some money, you know, via PayPal, you know, half or something, I'll unlist it. He said, no problem, I'll send you the whole payment because I'm taking it. So he did, man of his word, sent the money. And so he bought it, and then what you know, but within about a year of selling that cover, I acquire free from my cousin Tom a 97 Ultra Touring. Never in my life did I think I would ever own a touring sled. But it was a way to get the wife to ride with me. She don't like driving them. She likes riding. She likes being out in the woods. She loves winter. She's a Minnesotan. She likes this stuff. If I had to get a 2-up sled so she could ride with me, so she could enjoy this awesome sport with me, that's what I had to do. So Tom gave me this sled, and it was a wreck, total pile. I mean, most people, it should have just been put in a trash bin. I mean, it was garbage. But I save them all. I built a brand new engine for it. I put a storm hood on it, put a new seat cover on it. You guys have seen the build, Project Freebie. So recently, Lee put that touring sled up for sale. And Trenton tells me, hey, I see Lee's selling his touring. I'm like, really? I'll see if he wants to sell the cover maybe. Immediately I messaged Lee, hey, I see you're selling your touring. By any chance, would you be interested in selling the cover back to me that I sold you 2 years ago? This was just recently. Now, fast forward, I'm sorry, my story's getting confusing, but I had the sled, got Freebie last year, built it, but just here recently, a couple weeks ago. I contact him. Lee's like, sure, I'll sell it back to you. Do you know how much I bought it for? I said, well, I sent him a price. I think it was about this amount, but I'll give you more, whatever you want. He sends back, no, if you think that's the price, perfect, works for me. So not only did Lee buy it from me and then stored it for me, but then sold it back to me. That's the kind of people you want to know. Guys that will take and buy something from you and decide they're not going to use it and then offer to sell it back as soon as you ask if they'll sell it back. Because all of us have done this. Every one of us has sold something and then realized I need it. And then we've all had that problem where we've contacted the buyer and say, hey, you want to sell that? Nope. no, that thing's going to my grave. Then you have them few people say, yeah, I'll sell it back to you for exactly what you sold it to me for. Great people to know. But here it is. Held you in suspense long enough. A complete cover for a 97 Ultra Touring. It's got the correct colors. It fits the seat back. This thing, I mean, we've all bought some pretty cool parts that put a big smile on our face, but something as simple and stupid as a cover, I was just giddy. I couldn't believe that Lee was selling it back to me and I was getting this cover back because it's so mint. I mean, it's like the person that had the cover never even went down the road with it. I'm thinking they just stored it inside and covered it. It's exactly what I'm gonna do. This cover is never gonna see the roadway. Never once. It's already lasted 25 years. It's gonna last another 25 years because it's only gonna be sitting on the snowmobile inside of our barn. It's just to cover it while it's in storage. I like covering my sleds, partially because our barn floor is dirt, so everything gets completely covered in dust. But that's my story on the cover. I mean, I was just freaking completely jacked when Lee offered to sell that back to me. Partially because our floor's dirt and everything gets covered in dust. We're gonna go take a little ride today. You believe it's, what is it today? March 12th? Yeah, I think it's March 12th. I forgot to look at the phone to see what date it is, but 10 below this morning. this is crazy. Look at the snow we got. They're still grooming like crazy around the cabin. We're gonna go take a little ride. Me and Missy and Bree are up here, and Bree's gonna ride Hooker today. She just started doing some trail riding this year, and she does great. It's fun to have her out. So she's gonna take out Hooker. Missy and I are gonna be on Freebie. Got Redemption sitting out here. I took that for a little rip last night. That sled's fun. I love the colors of these sled. I don't know if we could pick this up with the sun out here, but they got that metal flake in the hoods. This color purple was by far one of my favorite colors. But another thing, in that pile of stuff we bought, we had another cover in there. And I almost sold this cover because I didn't have an XC sled. And I'm like, maybe we'll sell this cover, but it's so badly faded, and I figured that the absolute giveaway price I'd have to sell it for even for somebody to want to buy it. I'm like, I'll just keep it around. It's eventually going to fit on something. Well, once you know, an XC cover fits just completely awesome on an aggressive chassis sled. That's thing one underneath the cover. Like, it fits perfect. I would have never thought an XC cover would fit on an aggressive chassis sled. Now I know, but got some handles made up. Got our thing one and thing two handles made for the sleds. Kevin Krause set us up with them. But yeah, I got thing one underneath that cover. Got a couple of yard sleds sitting in the back here. I don't know if they might see snow again this year. I'm hoping next weekend to get the sleds back out again. Maybe get them all out of the barn and bring them down to the lake. Hard to tell if they'll be grooming still. Supposed to get maybe in the 30s and 40s this week, so don't know what that'll do with the trails, but we still got few weeks of lake riding. So maybe we'll empty out the barn, get all the sleds down there. The one matchup I'd like to do, and Trenton's got it close to being tuned good, is I'd like to run 3 fingers against Wet Basement. And the only reason we haven't done it, because the race would be so unfair. Because Wet Basement has a whole shot from complete hell that you've all have seen. 3 fingers. Beanie's running pod filters with rack carbs. We've been trying to sort this out, and every time we're up here this winter, it's so goddamn cold. I really don't have a lot of ambition to do any kind of carb tuning, and but we've been kind of messing with it. But on the bottom end, it's a pig. And any kind of a fair race would have to be a 20-mile-an-hour rolling race and race them. And I'd rather do take off from a dead stop. So I'd rather give that thing a fighting chance by actually getting it tuned correctly, so that it'd be a fun race for you guys all to watch too. I think it'd be close. I still think Wet Basement's gonna spank it, but I want it to be a fair race. So the only thing that's beaten Wet Basement this year was Thing 2. And I think it's because Thing 1 has a reverse chain case. So I think that kind of messes with the gearing and the whole shot of it. Thing 2 has standard chain case, and it's got an 1.25 inch lug track on it too. So I think, and it's studded. I think that really helps. We've always been racing in snow this year. I think that 1.25 inch track really helps on the whole shot. Because it was close. I'm sorry. It was close when Trenton was on Wet Basement and I was on Thing 2. The race was pretty close, but I still beat him. But he was only about a sled something behind me. But when I was on Wet Basement, he was on Thing 2. Totally different story. I mean, he spanked me. But, you know, whatever. You know, Wet Basement isn't going to be the fastest sled on the lake always. It's just not got. I hype it up to be. It's a fun sled. But I'm still working on some tuning on that one. I think I'm going to have to bore the carbs, put a bigger set of carbs on. I think right now my carburetors are my restriction point now. The porting is so massive. The exhaust is flowing. I just don't think it can suck enough air in the engine anymore. So I think that's where I'm at. And Eric from Northern Crank was, you know, he even warned me. He says, get the motor running like this first, and then we'll bore a set of carbs for it. Because he even knew that the sled was going to need bigger carbs. So he said, don't change too many things at once. A lot easier to tune in the way you were, and then progressively keep changing things. And that's what we'll do. I'll take his advice on that. But that's all I got, guys. I've been posting a bunch of riding videos. Been working on the bumpers on the Funmobile, and they're coming along nice. But I just wanted to do a little video this morning to show you guys that cover, because the thing's so freaking awesome, and to show you how much snow we still have, and we're still riding. It's been an awesome winter. Minnesota's really paid us good this year on snow. So I hear a lot of the other guys not so well on the snow, but apparently it all came our way this year, and I'll take it, because there's been years we haven't got it. So oh, one more quick story. recently had a guy contact me for a can, and so he bought a can. He was actually helping his uncle out with it, and long story, I had worked with his brother at one point in time, and unfortunately his brother had passed away, and I knew him, and he told me about it. And once he said his name, I'm like, oh man. So I'm really sorry for you guys' loss. But he said his dad is a huge viewer of the channel, loves watching. His dad works on triples too. So Jim, I appreciate all your views. We're triple loving buddies, man. And I set the can out, and they already got it. It only took a day for him to get the can. He was pretty excited. So thanks again, Jim, and talk to you guys later. Oh, that cover is gorgeous.